The Chevrolet Suburban is an American icon, and this is the newly refreshed 2025 Chevy Suburban. And this one right here just happens to be the most affordable one for the upcoming year. So in this video, I want to show this one to you. I'll also be able to show you another version of the Suburban. And of course, we'll talk about price and value. We finally have the numbers. So at the end of this video, you can decide if the new Suburban is actually worth it. But why do I have this gigantic SUV here in black? It's not because it's a shuttle service for the airport. It's because it's an LS. This is the base truck, and it's a 9-person SUV. Yes, you can put 9 people. There's 9 seat belts in this one. So when I'm talking about it being an American icon, it's been on the market for 90 years. So the first Chevy Suburban came out as a 1935 model, and this is a 2025 model. So that's why it's an icon, and it's updated and redesigned. And actually, they're packing a lot of features into this one. So really quickly, before we get inside, the size didn't change. So there's still the Chevy Tahoe, and there's still the Chevy Suburban. So this one right here, you can see it's huge. How can you tell it's a Suburban? Well, there's a little trick you can play. If the rear door is kind of squared off here, and if it closes and there's still a little bit of space before the rear tire, that's how you know it's an extended wheelbase truck. That's how you know it's a Suburban. And what's the beauty behind the Suburban? It's space. So even though it has 9 seats, it still has all this space. So that's why I think it's super exciting. And I'm really, really happy that General Motors and Chevrolet are going to continue and basically sell a version like this and making it, a little bit more within reach. It doesn't have a power up or power down hatch. You have to actually use your hands, use your muscles, and actually close it. Let's look under the hood before we actually get to the inside. So let me pop it for you right now. So the sheet metal mostly didn't change. What you see that's changed is actually the grille, the lights, and the front fascia. Also the tail lamps are changed a bit. But the sheet metal largely stayed the same, and also the powertrains largely stayed the same as well. So what you see in this base truck is a 5.3 liter V8. Yep, it still has the same power, 355 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. And you might be, typing a comment right now, why doesn't Chevrolet or GM update their engines? Why don't they, create hybrids? Why don't they boost the power levels? Well, this is tried and true. So there's something to be said when you have an engine that you've been using for many, many, many years, that you still keep using it. So, reliability is mostly known, parts are available, all that stuff is kind of set up for you. And there's hundreds of thousands of these engines and these big SUVs on the road still. So I think that's one of the reasons why they're keeping it. Also, you can get a 6.2 liter V8, or now the latest generation 3-liter Duramax turbo diesel is also available in the new Suburban and Tahoe. Let's jump inside, because this is where I think the cool stuff, it really is. Thank you, Zach. So let me start the engine. Just make sure it's powered up, so we have a little bit of air conditioning. Okay, so fan speed. All right, it's calmed down now. So first of all, new interior, right? What I really love about this is that the HVAC controls, my heating and cooling, is redundant. So you have hard buttons and knobs for temperature and fan controls, and also digital ones. So you can actually, even though this is a base truck, and sometimes base trucks don't get actual temperature controls, you just have fan speed basically. This one has all kinds of settings because a lot of it is actually digital as well. So I kind of like that. I like that choice. Now the steering wheel is pretty beefy. You wouldn't think, look at this. It's like leather wrapped and it feels really great. I've got full controls here, buttons, cruise control. Cruise control is here. Of course I have my wipers and lights, but also the transmission shifter swapped over here to the stock. I love this. So you can kind of basically pull it down for drive, up for reverse, and there's also park and neutral, of course. So it feels traditional. I used to own a 2002 Chevy Silverado heavy duty, and I just remember that column shift. This is, of course, not the same. It's basically shift by wire, electronic unit, but still it kind of has that feeling from previous years, which I love. I have power adjustable seats, so it's not a manual seat, so that already kind of feels like a slightly nicer vehicle. I have telescoping, nice steering wheel.
Real quick, I want to mention too,
Yeah.
even though this is the base LS model, I'm sitting over here in the passenger seat. It's kind of hard to show on the side, but I do also have power adjustable seats.
Yeah,
Both driver and passenger.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Yeah, so you have all that. You have a little tab here. I can lower this as well. Bam, and you have cup holders and little cubbies. So if you don't have somebody sharing this bench with you, you could still have a console. Zach, let me grab the camera.
Yeah.
And let me show some of these buttons here. So this has a four-wheel drive system. Four-wheel drive system is still $3,000. So it used to be a $3,000 option, and it still is across the line for 2025. I have my light control, which is a hard switch, not a digital button. I have my four-wheel drive switch with drive modes, but this doesn't have 4-low. So it's not a sophisticated transfer case with a low range for off-road, really kind of difficult off-road driving. And I have many other buttons, including a 360 camera. Zach, can it be? Can this base truck have a 360 camera?
Indeed it does.
So this is pretty sweet. You can have a side view. Those are the front tires. You can have overhead, standard. And of course, I think if you put it in reverse, that's the view behind you. This does have a hitch, and I'll show you the payload and the towing numbers in a second, but it doesn't have a trailer brake controller. That's an additional thing you can buy, and it will be on the left. So in the same area down there. Now the gauges. So let me show you the gauges really quick. So you have several different digital. This is an 11-inch screen, basically, here as a gauge cluster. You have different layouts, kind of traditional. There you can see that 5.3 revving up happily. Maps. This is Google built in, so you have all of the integration with the Google system. And of course, it doesn't have Super Cruise. Super Cruise is available on other higher trim levels of the Suburban and the Tahoe, but this base one does not. Now this is a 17.7-inch infotainment screen. Of course, you have a trailering app here as well, a very simple one, and nothing is plugged in right now. Now, I'm a little bit used to this because I also have a 2023 Chevy Colorado midsize pickup, so I kind of some of these icons are quite familiar to me, and I love this information. I think when you have 8 of your closest friends here with you, or your family members, and you're towing something behind you, you want to understand everything that's happening with your truck. And it is a truck-based SUV. It's on a frame. Here's your trip information is here. Of course, it's not a first drive review. That's still coming up. So, and when we get this to Colorado, we'll be able to show you, Denver 100 loops, towing loops, gauntlets, maybe even off-roading if we get an off-road version of this. So you have this now. Cameras we already looked at. You have other apps like News, Waze, Spotify, so you can load certain apps that you're used to into the system. Now let's see, controls. Auto park assist, that's interesting on the base model. And also more controls. Here you can see auto park again, blind zone steering assist. So this does have many different features, including kind of collision avoidance, child safety locks. You know what I'm not seeing, Zach? I'm not seeing traction control disable. Zach, I'm a dummy. The new Suburban combines a little bit of old with a lot of new. So in this case, the traction control button is still here. So yes, if you want to do those burnouts, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. So those are kind of the updates. And you can see, I mean, this kind of has a shelf. This kind of shelf in the front dash. I think it's quite attractive. This does not have a heads-up display, and it has a regular mirror. So this is not a camera mirror. Also has no sunroof, no fancy center console that slides back and forth, but it has a 9th seat. Zach, let's jump in the second row. Okay, so before we sit down, Zach, I want to just tumble this down. So there's still the same levers here on the sides, and you could do basically a 60-40, so to speak. And then actually, since this is up, I can show you the rear seat. And this is another beauty of a Suburban. I'm almost 6'3". I have a little bit space. Here I have, you know, we bring this back up. And if this was to slide back, actually I can't do it from here. But still.
Just gonna try to reach for that bar.
It's on the other side. Okay. It's okay. But Zach, look.
Yeah.
I have humongous space. Of course, you could bring this back so somebody could sit in front of me, but humongous amount of space. My only concern always has been in a Suburban, it's this, Zach. So it has a very large seat pillar, and it's for structure and strength of this vehicle, but it's a huge, I cannot look through it, right? I mean, I have a little window on this side.
A little porthole.
Yeah, so that's the only negative. Like, I mean, if you went cross country like this, you may just have to look at your, little iPad or laptop, because you're not seeing many things through this. But you do have your USB-C charger, cup holders, little cubbies. You could see it on this side also. And you have your vents in the ceiling. So that's really cool. And then, of course, you can get out this way. This way, and here. And center console. And Zach, I want to point out that there's still quite a few features. I have a 110 volt outlet.
And you still get rear zone climate control.
Yes, this is the base model. Woohoo! Thank goodness. So Chevrolet is baking a lot of features into this one. But do you want to hear the bad news?
I have a feeling it's a bit more expensive than the 2024 and older models.
You're right, Zach. It's a bit more expensive. So the 2024 models started a little bit below $60,000. Now for 2025, including destination charges, the Tahoe LS starts at $63,495. That's including $1,995 destination charge. That's a lot of money. That's also $5,300 over where it used to be. But after being in this truck just now with you guys, all the technology, 360-degree cameras, all the driver safety tech that's built into this truck, all of the comfort, simplicity of this truck, I can kind of see they added more value into it, including controls for the climate here, different small elements. But still, that's quite a price hike. And of course, this is a 4x4. This is a 9-person LS grade. And by the way, if you get the 9-person seat in the front, Chevrolet will give you back $250. Actually, you can get a lower price for a 9-seat version. Mind blown. I think it's really cool. Hopefully, I haven't seen one like this, configured like this in many, many years. Hopefully we'll see more. So let me know in the comments below, do you think the price increase is really worth it? By the way, the EPA numbers are about the same. This is a 5.3 V8. four-wheel drive system. But now, Zach, how about we jump into a little bit more fancy Suburban and show that? Oh yeah, and by the way, before we leave this LS base 9% Suburban, the payload rating on this one is 1,780 pounds. I think this is pretty good, even for 9 people. Well, maybe if there are people like me, which are kind of big and a little bit fat, that could still be okay-ish, but it's very unlikely you have 9 huge dudes traveling together, right? And then towing is, you could see it here, GM still does the sticker. So something similar to this one would be able to tow 7,500 pounds. So I wish this number would be higher. Some of the competitors like the Ford Expedition, the even Nissan Armada, and of course there's Jeep Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer. Some of those big SUVs have towing numbers that quite a bit higher than this one, but none of those, as far as I know, offer a 9-person long wheelbase vehicle like this. I told you we're going to show you something else, and this is it. First of all, this is not a Suburban, it's a Tahoe. Also, it's a Z71, but it has something that it's never had before. The Chevy Tahoe for 2025, the Z71 model, now can be had with a diesel engine underneath the hood. And it's the new diesel. Let me pop the hood first, and then I can show you some of the other features and also talk about price and when these trucks are going to be available. So, I love this color, by the way. This is gorgeous. Ah, there she is. You've been asking us about this for maybe a year, maybe longer. Of course, the Duramax engine has been in a Tahoe Suburban before, but it was a previous generation of the engine, and it was never in a Z71 off-roader like this. This is the latest LZ0, so the power goes up to 305 horsepower, the torque goes up to 495 pound-feet, and of course the 10-speed automatic is still behind it. And the efficiency ratings are not quite there, they're not available quite now, but this engine will be available in the first quarter of 2025. Although the Chevy Tahoe and Suburban, the new ones, are coming on sale by the end of this year in 2024, the diesel engine is coming a little bit later, unfortunately, so you'll have to wait a little bit longer. And the diesel engine is an option on the Z71, and it's going to be, we don't have an exact price yet, but under $1,000 to spec it out this way. Before we go inside, I wanted to tell you that these Tahoes and Suburbans now have new wheel designs. As you can see here on the Z71, the LS had the 18-inch wheel. This has a 20-inch wheel with a Goodyear Wrangler Territory AT. You can see it right there, R20. I like this tire. Of course, this is not an off-road review right now. We're not going off-road. But we've had similar tires on other vehicles, big trucks, and I generally like this this setup. Of course, they also have 22s and 24s, and the suspensions have been redesigned slightly, mainly because this chassis now has to accommodate a 24-inch wheel, which is a little bit heavier than ever before. But this still has a choice of standard spring suspension or air suspension. And of course, this one is riding on air. And this one also has, Zach, this has the static steps. You could also get a power step version on several other trim levels and versions of the Tahoe or the Suburban. But Zach, jump in. We gotta look on the inside because it's kind of special. Let's check this out. Of course, the design is new again. Let me move these waters. It's really hot here. We're near Arlington, Texas, which is where Tahoes and Suburbans are built. The factory is just about 16 miles down the road this way. So this is also pretty exciting. So the overall design of the interior is about the same. There may be some nicer materials around the top here. The Z71 does not get Super Cruise. So if you're wondering if you can combine a Z71 off-road model with Super Cruise, you cannot. And that's basically has to do with the front fascia. because this fascia is a little bit lifted for off-roading, it can't accommodate all of the sensors, all the radar systems that are required for Super Cruise. But you can get Super Cruise starting next year, and starting with LT, which is a little bit more mainstream version, all the way through RST and Premier and High Country. Zach, can I grab the camera, please? So on the right here, if you could see here, the buttons are, sorry, the glare. The buttons are still here. I have my trailer brake controller here, but I have the new transfer case with 4 low included drive modes, and their suspension is still here. You can see this button down below, and also all of the switches, including the traction control off, is on the left here as well. So all of that is here. Here you go. And some of the other features remain the same, including this center console that slides. We're here at the event with Chevrolet, and then this also moves forward. So you can both move the cup holders towards the back and still have an armrest here as well. This has a panoramic sunroof. I don't know if I should open it because the sun is super strong.
We might burst into flames, Andre.
I am bursting right now, and this is October. Zach, I'm not sure what's happening here with the temperatures, but it's still quite warm and humid for us. Captain's chairs are behind you. I mean, the third row is behind that. Obviously, this is a shorter wheelbase. This is a Tahoe. This is not a Suburban. And Zach, let's jump out and look at the payload really quick, because I always want to check that, make sure we have enough. And this is one of those vehicles that can do almost everything. Also, the Z71 is available as a Suburban, so you can get that as well. The payload is 1,497, basically 1,500 pounds, and the towing number is 8,000. So because this is a little slightly shorter vehicle, it weighs a little bit less than the Suburban. It can tow a little bit more. And the payload is a little bit compromised, I think, by some of the extra features. The panoramic sunroof, wheels and tires, some additional options that's in this truck. And this is what I was talking about with the fascia. You can see the red recovery points. And up on the side, this area is very small. It's tucked this way, so the tire has maximum, well, as good of an approach angle as that could make it. So I kind of like that. That's very functional. Also has blacked out badging on this guy. And of course, plenty of driver assistance technologies, driver safety tech, and the rest. So pricing on this guy, the Z71 with a 5.3 starts at $73,495. So that's also about $5,000 more than the previous generation or iteration of the Tahoe Z71. The Suburban costs $3,000 on top of the Tahoe. So if you want that long wheelbase, that'll cost you about $3,000. And of course, the pricing goes up to the High Country, which is a top level truck with options. I don't have it here, but it could be about 84, 85,000. So yeah, these trucks are getting quite expensive. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Which one would you go with? Would you go with a basic 9-person Suburban? Would you go with the Z71 with the diesel for efficiency and range? Chevrolet, by the way, says that range between about 670 to 750 miles is possible. When you get it in the Suburban, you get a 28-gallon tank, the bigger tank. So yes, let me know which one may be your favorite. What do you guys think? And check out oldtfl.com for everything automotive in one place, and also tflstuff.com for some merch. I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts right now. I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.